Welcome to the Bourbon Collective. I'm your host, Austin Mabry, and today we're going to be discussing High Bank Distillery's Whiskey War Barrel Select Batches 3 and 4, which are set to be released on Friday, November 19th at their distillery in Grandview Heights, Ohio. I'd like to start things off by offering everyone a little background on the High Bank brand. They're relatively young as distillers go. They only opened as recently as 2018 under the leadership of their master distiller Adam Hines and his 3 business partners. Utilizing a meticulous blending, sampling, and assessment process, they were able to craft what ultimately became their core whiskey offering known as Whiskey War. Whiskey War is available in a standard 88 proof variety as well as a barrel proof expression, which typically comes in at somewhere around 118 proof. They've experienced a great deal of success with this product line. In fact, at the most recent San Francisco World Spirits Competition, the barrel proof variety was awarded double gold, as well as the title of Best Blended Whiskey in America. So for such a young product, such a young company to experience that level of success and bring home accolades such as they did, it's really pretty impressive. I've gotten to know Adam and his team to some degree over the last couple of years, and he's a pretty creative fellow. I think that's something that can be seen in what he's doing with the barrel select expressions of his Whiskey War product as we move into them. So let's go ahead and get started, jump into these 2 expressions, batches 3 and batch 4. So High Bank's barrel select process involves taking the core Whiskey War product, then finishing it in a variety of used casks, imparting different types of influence and flavor characteristics into the whiskey, ultimately creating unique expression. These expressions are then bottled and released to the public in limited quantities. Batches 1 and 2 of the Barrel Select program were released in late 2020. Batch 1 being a Sangiovese finished Whiskey War. Batch 2 was a Cabernet Sauvignon finished Whiskey War. The 2 that I have in front of me here this evening, Batch 3, Pinot Noir finished. That is a dry variety of red wine. So I'm interested to see what kind of influence the barrel has had on the Whiskey War product there. And then Batch 4 is a double oaked. Something that is kind of an uprising trend in the whiskey world, the double oaked or double oaking of whiskeys, basically meaning that this whiskey has seen at least 2 virgin oak barrels. So without further ado, I want to hop into batch number 3 here, the Pinot Noir finish, and see what 10.5 months in a red wine cask has done for this product. So we hit the nose here, see what kind of aromas we can pick up. So right off the bat, I'm getting a lot of influence off the wine barrel. You can definitely smell the influence the wine has had, the oak, kind of the tannic dark fruit notes that are coming out of this. I do like the nose on that. Very complex. Let's see what the has in store. Yeah, right off the bat, it does carry over nicely. The rye spice from the Whiskey War product. It's not overpowered or masked by the Pinot barrel. But I do still get subtle nuances of cherry, a dark cherry, kind of a red grape. Although for having spent that length of time in a dry red wine barrel, it's not as tannic as I might expect. It doesn't dry your palate out as you enjoy it. Oddly enough, towards the end, I kind of get a hint of cardamom. If anybody's ever had cardamom, it reminds me of a mead that I had in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan that was infused with cardamom. It's just ever so subtle on the back end as it finishes. It's really unique. I've never gotten that on a whiskey before. So yeah, that's pretty good. No complaints about the batch number 3. Certainly something unique. It almost reminds me of a kind of falls into a dessert category. If you've ever had Angel's Envy finished rye, obviously we're not dealing with rum casks here, but the level of sweetness that the finishing cask imparts into the whiskey is nearly on par with what you'd experience in that whiskey. So maybe something to have after dinner. You're wanting something a little on the sweeter side. This is the whiskey. Very good. I'd give that a big thumbs up. I'll go ahead and rinse here before we move on to batch 4, which is the double oaked. Again, guys, we're going to jump into batch number 4 here, which is the High Bank Whiskey War Barrel Select batch number 4. This is a double oaked, coming in at 115.5 proof, 57.75% ABV. The double oaking process basically involves spending time in 2 virgin oak casks, unused new oak casks. So let's see what kind of influence that process has over the Whiskey War mash bill here. Jump into the nose. Little background on the bottle. This is a 5-year-old whiskey. Spent 21 months in its first oak cask at High Bank. Transferred, spent an additional 6 months in a secondary oak cask. On the nose, I'm getting the rye from the High Whiskey War mash bill. That's still there. It's not being masked. Although I am getting a lot of darker notes. Your cocoa. Got some oak and barrel char in there. Really carrying over those dark, kind of earthy notes. Let's hop to the palate and see what we got going on. Again, the nose doesn't lie. You're getting the rye, of course, but the dark notes, the cocoa, almost like a cocoa bean, not necessarily bitter, but flirting with that threshold you get from very dark chocolate. A little bit of leather, some oak. That's a dark whiskey. This is a drink for somebody who likes their earthy tones, kind of your darker earthy tones. Full disclosure, I did compare this to the double oaked variety of the Whiskey War that was released earlier this year. This, compared to that, takes the cocoa, the leather, the earthy tones to another level. I find that the double oaked is sweeter than this. This kind of gets spicier and a little more rugged, a little darker as it spends more time in that barrel. So if you're a whiskey drinker that likes your whiskey to carry kind of those earth notes, those leathers and those cocoa bean characteristics, this is your drink. This is, again, unique. It's what High Bank does with their Barrel Select series. So, cheers to High Bank. This is certainly something that can't easily be found elsewhere. Yeah, well done on these. No complaints whatsoever. So as we wrap up here, I just want to take a moment to say thank you to Adam Hines and the entire team at High Bank Distillery for providing me with these samples of batches 3 and 4 to review prior to their release this coming Friday. If you're able to do so, make your way down to Grandview, pay them a visit at the distillery. They have an excellent kitchen and bar staff team. They make a lot of excellent cuisine, interesting cocktails for you to enjoy. Any night out at High Bank's a good time. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the review. And as always, cheers, Collective.